www.thegreatwhitebrotherhood.org.
Blood types. There has been a lot of myths spread over many years, concerning different types of blood groups, and their relationship, or not, to various spiritual beings, kings, and, particularly, Egyptian pharaohs. The question is, of course, is there any truth in any of this? Now, the question is not easy to answer, as the history of human population is long, complicated, further complicated by the various earth changes that have regularly wiped out huge numbers of people, forcing earth humans to start again in many areas, and spread to repopulate the land that had been left bereft of life, due to these catastrophes. So, it happened that, when there was an extinction-level event, those who lived on high land, mountainous areas, had a better chance of surviving, and, also found themselves isolated, and thus, bred amongst themselves, whereas, those that had survived in low lands, just had to make do with any partner they could find amongst the individuals wandering about. So, if it happened that on highland areas, people with a specific type of blood interbred, that blood group would proliferate, whereas, those breeding with people of chance encounters, would finish with more of a mixture. The subject is further complicated, as we have gone to great lengths to explain, by archon entities, influencing psychotic humans, to create exclusive groups, kings, queens, emperors, pharaohs, and so on. Now, the blood type of any group of rulers was not of any great significance, as they came from the wandering groups, who had survived the latest extinction-level event. The importance was, that as these people had lost virtually everything in an extinction-level event, and had to scavenge, fight, and kill to survive, they became more and more egocentric, selfish, and, eventually, psychopathic in their desire to survive, at all costs. These people, with the aid of the archons, became rulers, and still rule and control in many countries, and in many domains of life, politics, religion, finance, etc. But it just so happened, that in some mountainous areas, life was a little easier, and so, people turned to, and developed, spirituality, above and beyond those living in plain types of land. Now, because of the harsh, winter conditions in highland areas of the world, by the law of selection, people of a certain type of blood group, which gave more robust bodies, able to survive in cold climates, developed, and, through interbreeding, were able to proliferate. Thus, we eventually had two basic types of humans, those who lived in low lands, that developed a mixed type of blood, some of whom were helped into positions of control, and those that lived in higher areas, that interbred amongst themselves, and, by the law of natural selection, gave them a different type of blood, and, hence, red hair, or blonde, blue, green, or hazel eyes, fair skin, as opposed to darker skin, brown eyes and dark hair of low-lying land peoples. As these mountain people had the opportunity to develop spirituality more than the peoples of the plains, when the second group seized control, they did their best to get rid of the spiritual people, to force through their less than spiritual religious beliefs. So, they instigated witch hunts, and anyone with red hair, light-colored eyes, etc., could be accused of being a witch or wizard, and could be killed, often in terrible ways. The object was, and still is in many areas, to get rid of anyone who opposes archon-based religious doctrines. Nowadays, of course, in many countries, interbreeding amongst various groups happens all the time, and is of less consequence, but has given rise to all sorts of myths and legends about angels, saints, and holy people, having red or blonde hair, and light-colored eyes, and the blood types that promote that appearance. In fact, spirituality now is open to virtually all, regardless of blood type, skin, hair, or eye color. On the subject of royal, blue blood, that is also a myth. It became a custom, long ago, for people of so-called noble birth to marry amongst themselves, because, what was, and is, actually happening, is that it is easy to brainwash and control a small group of people, so, the custom was formed of marriage between members of the same families. That group of people had been specifically trained to be under the influence of archons and reptilians, and thus, to push forward that agenda, with which we are all familiar. However, As many of these groups are now discovering, marriage between very small groups tends to promote illness, either physical or mental, which has resulted in problems, and so, reluctantly, they are being obliged to allow others of less than noble birth into their families.
Thank you for watching this video lesson. Please visit www.thegreatwhitebrotherhood.org for more lessons and free downloadable books.